With the new Galaxy Z Fold 4, Samsung is addressing some of the biggest criticisms we had with the Z Fold 3. The Z Fold 4 has a better camera that's similar to the Galaxy S22's, and Samsung tweaked the Fold's design to make it more like a regular phone when it's closed. The Z Fold 4 launches on August 26th alongside the Z Flip 4 and starts at $1,800. We've only had a short amount of time with the device, but it seems like another step in the right direction for Samsung's large-sized foldable phones. Now that Samsung has been selling foldable phones for almost 3 years, it's clearly gotten a better grasp on who these phones are for and what people want from them. But at $1,800, the Z Fold 4 is still too expensive for many people. Here's a closer look at what's new in Samsung's latest foldable phone. The best thing about Samsung's Galaxy Z Fold devices is the way they can function as a phone when closed and a tablet when opened. But one of my biggest complaints about the Z Fold so far has been that it still feels kind of awkward to use as a phone when it's closed. Its screen is a little longer and taller than that of a regular phone, so the aspect ratio is slightly different. Samsung is trying to change that with the Galaxy Z Fold 4. The new phone has a slightly wider screen with a wider aspect ratio, which makes it feel a little bit more like a regular phone when it's shut. But don't expect it to feel exactly like a normal non-folding phone. The screen still isn't as wide as what you'd experience with something like the Galaxy S22 or the iPhone 13, and it's still thick when folded, but it's still an improvement over the Galaxy Z Fold 3. The 7.6-inch main screen on the inside is also brighter and 45% stronger compared to the Z Fold 3. The under-display camera blends into the screen more seamlessly too. But it's not just about the hardware. That giant screen isn't very useful without new software features to go along with it. Thankfully, Samsung is adding some new functionality to the Z Fold 4. When the phone is folded halfway, you can use the bottom portion of the display as a touchpad to control apps on the top half of the screen. The Z Flip 4 is getting this feature too. There's also a redesigned taskbar that now sits at the bottom of the screen. I'm glad Samsung is experimenting with different software features for its foldable phones. The ability to switch between phone and tablet mode is already pretty useful, especially for people who don't own a personal laptop or tablet. But foldable phones still need a killer app that makes a compelling argument for why they exist in the first place. For Samsung, the first step with its earlier foldables was getting apps to work easily between different display sizes. Now that it's accomplished that, it's finding new ways to actually push the software experience forward. Samsung is also making some notable upgrades to the Z Fold's camera. The Z Fold 4 will have a 50-megapixel main camera, 12-megapixel ultra-wide lens, and 10-megapixel telephoto lens with a 3x optical zoom and 30x digital zoom. That's a step up from the Z Fold 3's camera in a few ways. The Z Fold 3 can only zoom in optically 2x and 10x digitally. Plus, the main camera on the Z Fold 3 has a lower resolution of 12 megapixels. The Z Fold 4 is also getting the same improvements to low-light photography that we saw with the Galaxy S22. We'll know more about these camera improvements once we actually test the Z Fold 4, but it's nice to see Samsung close the gap between the cameras on its foldable phones and its flagship phones. The Galaxy Z Fold 4's battery capacity remains the same at 4,400 mAh, and Samsung also says it should be able to charge up to 50% in 30 minutes. Like the new Z Flip 4, the Z Fold 4 also runs on Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 processor. That chip is a slightly newer and upgraded version of the one in the Galaxy S22 lineup. Overall, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 seems like a step forward for Samsung's foldable phone. With a better camera, refined design, and more software tricks, the Z Fold 4 certainly seems to be moving in the right direction. Samsung is starting to answer the question of who the Galaxy Fold is really for. Samsung's positioning this phone as a productivity device because of its large screen and stylus compatibility, which makes sense. In some ways, it feels like the Galaxy Z Fold lineup is replacing the Galaxy Note. When the first Note launched more than a decade ago, it was too large and expensive for most people. But it ended up being a hit with a specific audience of users that wanted a notebook-like productivity device and a phone in one. Over the last 10 years, the Note lineup gradually overlapped with Samsung's Galaxy S devices, finally blending into the lineup completely with the Galaxy S22 Ultra earlier this year. Maybe the Galaxy Z Fold will eventually take a similar path, but that seems far off. The Z Fold 4's $1,800 price is still way too expensive for many people, and companies like Samsung are still proving the promise behind foldable phones. We'll have to wait until we've had more time with the Galaxy Z Fold 4 to see if it really lives up to the hype. So what do you think of the Galaxy Z Fold 4? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to check out the links in the description for more Samsung coverage. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.